Hey everyone, Jamie here. Welcome to another video. Gosh, I'm so glad you are here. Mostly because I get to share with you this little project. I could not wait to get the die cuts for this project. It is, have you seen the paper villages by Tim Holtz? They sold out and then literally you couldn't find them anywhere. I found them and I have put them to good use. How cute are those? How cute are those little houses? They're killing me. They're so cute. I have made up a bunch of these. I'm using them, as you can see right now, for ornaments, but there's a million things you can use them for. Can you see that little snowflake pattern on there? Super cute. I want to show you how we're going to do that. All right, you ready to join me? Okay, we're going to get started here. Let's first talk about the supplies that we're going to need to make these little houses. Of course, you'll need the Sizzix thinlits. They're called Paper Village, and they're by Tim Holtz. And I'm just going to go ahead and refer you right now to one of his holiday videos that he did in the recent weeks. You can find that on his blog, but he just goes into a whole lot of detail about pre-cutting these, having a whole bunch available and on the ready. And he goes into a lot more depth than I'm going to go into here, but I kind of found my little niche with these and I'm happy to show those to you in a moment here. The next thing you're going to need is some cardstock. I've used plain cardstock, smooth cardstock. This is my favorite cardstock. This is the Bazzill 12 by 12. It's a textured cardstock. And so this is one of my favorites that I love to use. You can see here off camera a little bit is my blush Minc machine. So we will be putting it to use as well. Next is texture paste, Hadi Swap white texture paste. This is a Minc texture paste. So it reacts with the foil in the Minc machine to make these really beautiful, fun results. You've seen me use these before on other videos, and here we're going to do it again today. Something I just recently got were these Tim Holtz palette knives. Actually, there's a whole set of them, and I am loving them. But this one was especially, I really loved the use of this for the texture paste through the stencils. The Minc foil of choice currently in my Christmas stash especially is the Silver Stars. Again, I've used this already quite a bit this season for decorating and for gift making. Love, love this foil so much. Okay, stencils. Let's talk about stencils. I'm using these 6x8 stencils from scrapbook.com. You're going to see me have already stenciled out the trees, snowflake. I'm loving the snowflake this year. It's so beautiful. And then this Mod Asterisk is so fun too. And so those are just 3 that I'm using. You can use any stencils that are going to make you happy. And I suggest that you do just that. To help put the houses together, I loved using the 1/8 inch double-sided adhesive roll from scrapbook.com. This is a great little tape to have on hand. And of course, you're going to need scissors and then kind of a bigger needle and then some twine to make the hanging part of the ornament. The next thing I want to talk about for a moment here is making up, can you see the texture on here? Pre-made texture paste, cardstock, and vellum. I just had it all out one day and grabbed some scraps of paper and I just went to work and just went ahead and pre-stenciled some surfaces. And so now I'm just ready to go whenever I want to make these houses. I will go ahead and just walk you through the process of what it looked like for me to stencil these out. Super simple, just a basic stencil technique, but I just really wanted to point out something I'm getting much better at is just pre-making stuff. I don't know exactly where I'm going to use this stencil. It could be background paper. I could use it partially on a card. I could use it for like today with making these paper village houses. But I'm loving just being able to grab and go, because with the texture paste, when you apply it to your surface, it's going to need a decent amount of time to dry. If you run this through your machine before it's ready and it's still wet, it's just going to smash the design instead of keep the design nice and bold like you have hoped it would be. So pre-stenciling these, setting them aside, forgetting about them, letting them dry completely, for me, is the way to go. Okay, I've grabbed a piece of textured cardstock here. I have my texture paste, my palette knife. I'm going to decide on a stencil. For today's houses, I'm going to use the snowflakes that I already have pre-textured because it's already dry and ready to go. So one of the things I like to do is just go ahead and apply the texture paste right to the knife. And I don't know, I just found I had a lot of great control when I was using this knife on a stencil, and I had great results. For the Minc texture paste in particular, I am not one that wants the texture to be bumpy, so I really do work as best I can to make the top of this smooth. Does that make sense? So as I'm applying the texture paste to the stencil, I'm making sure that the texture paste is just as smooth as it possibly can be at the surface. All right, see how beautiful that is? Yeah, it just makes a great design. It's wonderful texture paste. You can find the clear at scrapbook.com. I'll link that down below. This is the white, just I wanted you to be able to see it. They both work exactly the same. All right, so let's move to the next step. Okay, the next step is getting our surface, our cardstock, minked. How we're going to do this, turn on your Minc machine, go ahead and set that to 3, kind of a general setting for a lot of these applications. Works great on the texture paste too. I'm going to grab my carrier folder, set the Minc snowflakes inside. I'm going to cover it up with foil. And just if in case you're new to the Minc, the correct side of the foil is face up on top of the correct side of your texture paste. So it's going to adhere, and this is the surface you're going to see. So think of it that way. What you're looking at is what you're going to see. So you want that to be facing you. Once this turns to green on my 3 setting, then we will run this through and I'll reveal to you what the snowflakes look like underneath. Okay, so it takes that a moment to run through the machine, and then this is the results that you have. Always beautiful. And that stars, I'm telling you what, it's just perfect. It's so perfect. Okay, so now we have our surface minked and foiled and beautiful. The next part is cutting out the houses. For cutting out the houses, I'm using my Sizzix Big Shot, and I have the magic mat from scrapbook.com laid down here on the surface. I'm just going to pull out my dies. They're pretty snug in here as I have them adhered, or as I have them on magnetic sheets. You can see there's a bunch of them here. It can kind of be a little intimidating, but don't let it be. If I can figure it out, you can figure it out. So I'm going to go ahead and lay my snowflakes on the surface. I'm going to take one of the houses. And one of the fun things about this is you can sort of plan where you would like your snowflake or whatever your design is to be on the house. We're just going to have some fun here. We're going to put that big snowflake right there in the front, but I want to add a door and a window. There are about 3 different doors and windows you can add to these, making all kinds of different houses that way. I'm going to use this magic tape from scrapbook.com to make sure all that stays in place. I'm also going to go ahead and pick out my roof, which is going to be this one. It's a little bit longer, so I know it's going to fit on here. And I'm going to just set that one there. I'm also going to adhere it to the surface with the, did I say magic tape? It's not magic tape, it's mint tape. Magic pad, mint tape. And don't forget there's smart glue. Okay, just run that through like a regular die cut machine. Make sure you get your die cuts back on their magnet sheet. And I'm saying that because I have to remind myself all the time because I do not want these guys to go missing. Okay, so I have my little house there. My door's open. I'm going to pop out my windows because they've been cut as well. They're right on the foil, so they're sticking a little bit, but they'll pull off just fine. There we go. Now, I need the backing to this house as well, so I'm going to go ahead and do that next. And all you have to do with that is just use the same piece again. And this becomes the back of your house as well. So I'm going to run that through and then we'll put this house together. Okay, on each of the houses across all the parts that need to adhere to the other piece, to the other die cut piece, there is a score. You just go along and you bend on that score. You also want to bend the house part there and do it again to the front piece. We know this is the front piece because we have a little door there. So I'll just do that all the way around. Once I have these all folded on their score, on each part of the score, I'm going to add in my 1/8 inch tape. This little tape here fits perfectly in that score piece. And that just made me so happy when I discovered that. So I'm going to go around and get all of these in place. Just kind of speed this up a bit. Look how cute he's looking. Isn't that fun with that snowflake on the front? It's just dazzling. Okay, so now we need to put our little house on there. It's not a house, that's a roof. Okay, so there's probably several ways to do this, but the last thing we need to do is add a little hanger. Like I said, there's probably several ways to go about this. This is just the way I went about it. I have some twine here that has a metallic little string to it. I'm going to make a knot at the end with the two open string parts. Does that make sense? So I made a loop and now I have a knot here at the end. So I like to use a big needle for this, kind of a paper, it's like a book crafty needle. So it's a little bit thicker. And if you have, let me grab mine. If you have a little foam piece, or you can make your own foam piece just from like craft foam, but I like to use it if I have to pierce something. So I pierce my hole and run that through, and then there's my knot at the end. And I'll probably even go in here and just trim that down a little bit more because I don't really want to see it through the door or the windows. So now my roof is ready to put on, and I find this part still a little tricky. So if you find it tricky, if you try this, you're not alone. But I think the best way to do it is you can see all the folded parts there that will hold the roof. This doesn't have any adhesive to it, just this part does. And then I just want to make sure it has a little bit of an overhang. There's plenty of room for it to have an overhang, and then as centered as I possibly can make it. And, you know, the tape's forgiving for a few moments, so you can lift up and reattach that if you need to. And I just go inside, make sure all my parts are as adhered as I possibly can make them. And there's my house. How cute! He is adorable. I just wanted to share this with you guys so much. As soon as I saw these paper houses, I knew this was the first thing I wanted to do, wanted to take some Minc designs and make an ornament. And you can see how I've had them, put them on my tree already when the lights are on at night. Because this cardstock is not terribly heavy, the whole house just sort of illuminates. I don't even need to have a light inside of it. If it's near a light, it just lights up and it's so beautiful. So thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate you taking the time to check this out. All the supplies are linked below. If you are not already a subscriber, I hope you will subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.